Long before empires rose and fell, and before modern borders were ever drawn, silver held a special power in the land we now call Pakistan. For the people of the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the world's earliest urban cultures flourishing over 4,000 years ago, this lustrous metal was more than just a shiny object. It was a symbol of status, a medium of intricate craftsmanship, and a connection to the divine. Archaeologists have unearthed delicate silver jewelry, beads, and ornaments from the ruins of ancient cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. These discoveries tell us that the artisans of this era were masters of metallurgy, capable of sourcing, refining, and shaping silver into beautiful forms that adorned the elite of their society. The metal was rare, and its presence signified wealth and influence. The value of silver was not merely in its beauty. In a world without formal currency as we know it, silver likely played a key role in long-distance trade. Imagine merchants from the Indus Valley, their caravans laden with cotton and pottery, trading with civilizations in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. They might have exchanged their goods for standardized weights of silver, a reliable and transportable store of value recognized across different cultures. This made silver an essential lubricant for the engine of ancient commerce, connecting distant peoples and allowing complex economies to thrive. Its durability meant it could be stored for long periods, unlike perishable goods, making it a primitive form of savings for a prosperous merchant or a powerful ruler. Unlike gold, which was often reserved for the highest echelons of royalty or religious ceremony, silver was slightly more accessible, though still a luxury. It was the metal of the prosperous, the adornment of the well-to-do family. It was fashioned into amulets to ward off evil spirits and offered to the gods in sacred rituals. The gleam of a silver necklace or the shimmer of a silver vessel was a visible marker of a family's standing in the community. This deep-rooted cultural association between silver and prosperity, security, and even spiritual protection was established thousands of years ago, and it has echoed through the subcontinent's history ever since, laying the groundwork for its enduring importance. As we trace the story of silver, we see that its journey is a reflection of the region's own history. The ancient trade routes that brought silver into the Indus Valley were the same pathways that would later carry invading armies, new ideas, and different cultures. The desire to possess and control this precious metal would drive conflicts, build empires, and create legends of unimaginable wealth. The silver of the ancients was not just a commodity, it was a seed from which countless stories of power, ambition, and survival would grow. Its legacy is not just buried under the sand in archaeological sites, but is woven into the very fabric of the region's cultural and economic identity. Fast forward a few millennia to the 16th century, and the Indian subcontinent was under the rule of the mighty Mughal Empire. This was an era of unparalleled artistic achievement, architectural marvels, and immense wealth. At the heart of this opulent empire was silver. The Mughals established a sophisticated and standardized monetary system, and its backbone was the silver coin known as the rupiah. This coin, the ancestor of the modern rupee, was minted in vast quantities and circulated across the empire, from the Khyber Pass in the west to the Bay of Bengal in the east. It fueled the bustling markets, paid the salaries of soldiers and administrators, and funded the construction of magnificent tombs and palaces, including the world-famous Taj Mahal. The sheer amount of silver flowing into Mughal India was staggering, earning it the nickname the Sink of World Silver. Much of this precious metal came from the New World, the Americas, where Spanish conquistadors had discovered vast silver mines in places like Potosi, in modern-day Bolivia. This silver was shipped across the Atlantic to Europe and then made its way to the East, as European traders were desperate for the spices, textiles, and other luxury goods that only the subcontinent could provide. The Mughals, in turn, demanded payment in silver. As a result, a river of silver flowed from the Americas to India, making the Mughal emperors some of the wealthiest rulers on Earth and embedding silver even more deeply into the economy. For the ordinary person living in the Mughal era, Silver was a tangible measure of wealth and security. A farmer might sell his surplus harvest for a handful of silver rupiahs, which he could then use to pay taxes or save for a daughter's dowry. A skilled artisan's wages were paid in silver. The intricate silver jewelry, known as filigree, that adorned women at weddings and festivals, was not just for show. It was a family's portable bank account. In times of prosperity, silver was spent and displayed. But in times of uncertainty, it was hoarded and hidden away, a reliable asset when crops failed or political stability wavered. This practice of using silver as both currency and a store of value became deeply ingrained in the culture. The grandeur of the Mughal court was legendary, and silver was everywhere. Emperors sat on silver thrones, ate from silver plates, and were surrounded by courtiers whose robes were woven with silver thread. The empire's wealth was a magnet for travelers, traders, and adventurers from around the world who returned home with tales of a land overflowing with riches. But this immense concentration of wealth also made the empire a target. The glitter of Mughal silver would soon attract the envious eyes of invaders, setting the stage for a new chapter in the story of Pakistan's hidden fortunes, a chapter defined by conflict, fear, and the desperate need to protect one's wealth from plunder. The immense wealth of the subcontinent has always been a double-edged sword. While it fueled golden ages of art and culture, it also acted as a powerful magnet for invaders. Throughout history, from the ancient Greeks led by Alexander the Great to the marauding armies from Central Asia, waves of conquest have washed over the lands of modern-day Pakistan. During these periods of violent upheaval and political instability, ordinary people were faced with a terrifying choice: flee with what you can carry or risk losing everything. For families whose life savings were held in the form of silver coins and jewelry, the only viable option was often to hide their fortune and pray for a safer future. This practice of burying treasure became a common survival strategy. A family would gather their precious silver, coins, bangles, anklets, and heirlooms, and place it in an earthen pot or a metal box. Under the cover of darkness, they would secretly bury it in a courtyard, beneath the floor of their home, or in a field marked by a familiar tree or rock. This was a desperate act of hope. The hope was that the conflict would soon pass, the invaders would move on, and they could one day return to unearth their savings and rebuild their lives. These hidden stashes were not the treasure of kings or pirates, but the lifeblood of everyday families, intended to secure a future for their children. Sadly, for many, that day of return never came. Families were displaced, killed in the fighting, or forced to migrate permanently, their secret knowledge of the buried silver lost forever. Over the centuries, this has given rise to countless legends and folktales of hidden fortunes scattered across the landscape. Stories are passed down through generations about a great-grandfather who buried a pot of Mughal silver coins before a battle, or a village that collectively hid its wealth before an invasion. These tales of lost treasure have fueled the imaginations of many, sparking a sense of mystery and the tantalizing possibility that immense riches lie just beneath the surface of the earth, waiting to be rediscovered. This legacy of hiding wealth continued into the colonial era. The arrival of the British and the subsequent wars and uprisings, such as the Great Upheaval of 1857, created new waves of uncertainty. Local rulers, nobles, and even common families who resisted or feared the new colonial power once again resorted to the age-old practice of burying their silver. The British, in their quest to consolidate control, were known to confiscate the wealth of those they deemed rebellious. Hiding silver was an act of defiance and self-preservation. This long and turbulent history of invasion and conflict created a deep-seated cultural instinct. When danger looms, trust not in banks or rulers, but in the earth beneath your feet to safeguard your fortune. When the British East India Company, and later the British Crown, established control over the subcontinent, they found a land where silver was not just a precious metal, but the very lifeblood of the economy. The British understood that to control the territory, they had to control its finances. They began by standardizing the currency, issuing their own silver rupees featuring the likeness of the British monarch. This move was not just about economic efficiency, it was a powerful symbol of their authority, replacing the image of the Mughal emperor with that of Queen Victoria or King George. The British Raj effectively took over the mints and regulated the flow of silver, making it a cornerstone of their colonial administration. The British also viewed the subcontinent as a vast source of resources to enrich their own empire. They extracted enormous quantities of wealth, including silver, through taxes, trade imbalances, and outright plunder. High taxes imposed on land and agriculture often forced farmers to sell their family silver just to make payments, leading to a slow but steady transfer of wealth from the local population into the coffers of the colonial government. This process created resentment and economic hardship. For many Indians, the silver their families had accumulated over generations was now being siphoned away to a distant land, fueling the Industrial Revolution in Britain while contributing to poverty at home. In response to this systematic extraction and control, the age-old traditions of hoarding and smuggling silver did not disappear. They simply adapted. Many families continued to distrust the official banking systems introduced by the British, preferring to keep their wealth hidden in the form of physical silver. Owning silver became an act of economic independence. Furthermore, the imposition of taxes and regulations on the movement of goods and precious metals gave rise to organized smuggling. Clandestine networks began moving silver across regional and colonial borders to evade British duties and control, laying the groundwork for the large-scale smuggling operations that would persist long after the British had left. The end of the British Raj in 1947 and the painful partition of the subcontinent into India and Pakistan created a new wave of chaos and displacement. As millions of people migrated across the newly drawn borders, many carried their life savings with them in the only form they could: silver jewelry and bullion. Stories abound of families sewing silver coins into the hems of their clothes or hiding them in their modest belongings as they made the perilous journey to their new homeland. Once again, in a time of profound crisis, silver proved to be the most reliable and portable store of value. This experience further solidified its importance in the cultural psyche of the newly formed nation of Pakistan. After Pakistan gained independence in 1947, the cultural significance of silver remained as strong as ever. For generations, it had been the ultimate safety net, and in the new nation, facing economic uncertainty and the challenges of building a country from the ground up, this tradition continued. For an average Pakistani family, silver was, and still is, much more than just jewelry. It represents financial security, a tangible asset that can be relied upon when formal economic systems falter. A daughter's dowry, for example, often includes a significant amount of silver jewelry. This is not just a gift, but an endowment of wealth that she takes with her into her new family, giving her a degree of financial independence and security. This deep-rooted trust in physical assets is a direct response to a history of economic volatility. Periods of high inflation, currency devaluation, and political instability have taught many Pakistanis that money in a bank can lose its value overnight. Silver, on the other hand, is a global commodity with intrinsic worth. It is seen as a hedge against inflation, a way to preserve the value of one's hard-earned savings. Many families, especially in rural areas, do not have easy access to modern banking or investment opportunities. For them, buying a silver bangle or a few silver bars is the most straightforward and trusted way to invest for the future, protect their wealth, and have an emergency fund readily available. The forms this silver takes are varied and deeply connected to cultural practices. It can be in the form of ornate bridal jewelry, heavy anklets passed down from a grandmother, or simple, unadorned bars known as tolas. These items are often kept in a locked chest or a hidden corner of the house. their existence known only to close family members. When a financial emergency strikes, a medical bill, a crop failure, or an unexpected expense, a piece of this silver can be quickly sold or pawned to raise the necessary cash. This informal system of finance has provided a lifeline for millions of families over the decades, functioning as a private insurance policy in the absence of robust social safety nets. This enduring tradition of hoarding silver, however, also creates a massive, unregulated market. A significant portion of the nation's private wealth is held in the form of this precious metal, existing outside the formal economy. It is this vast reservoir of privately held silver that creates both the supply and demand for smuggling networks. When local prices are high, there is an incentive to smuggle cheaper silver into the country. When there is a need to move money illicitly, silver becomes the perfect vehicle. The family chest filled with silver heirlooms is therefore not just a symbol of heritage and security, but also an unwitting player in a much larger, darker economy of cross-border smuggling. The world of precious metals is famously volatile, but the period between 2023 and 2026 saw a particularly dramatic surge in the global price of silver. A combination of factors, including increased industrial demand for silver in green technologies like solar panels and electric vehicles, geopolitical tensions, and investor speculation, sent prices soaring. In international markets, silver broke record after record. This global trend had a massive and immediate impact on the local market in Pakistan. The price of silver, traditionally measured in a unit called a tola, about 11.66 grams, skyrocketed. By early 2025, it had crossed the psychological barrier of 5,000 Pakistani rupees per tola, which was just, an unprecedented high. This dramatic price increase turned silver from a stable store of value into a high-stakes commodity ripe for exploitation. For smugglers, this was a golden opportunity. The porous and often mountainous borders that Pakistan shares with its neighbors, particularly Afghanistan and Iran, have long been conduits for illicit trade. With the price differential between Pakistan and its neighbors widening, the potential profit from smuggling silver became enormous. A smuggler could buy silver at a lower price in a neighboring market, sneak it across the border, and sell it in Pakistan for a substantial markup, all while evading hefty import duties and taxes. The risk was high, but the reward was even higher. The mechanics of this smuggling are both simple and sophisticated. Smugglers use a variety of methods to move their illicit cargo. Sometimes it's as crude as loading silver bars onto pack mules and guiding them through remote mountain passes. More often, it involves concealing the metal in hidden compartments within passenger buses, transport trucks, or private vehicles traveling on major highways. These networks are often well organized, with lookouts, paid informants, and established routes designed to avoid customs checkpoints and law enforcement patrols. The silver is often melted into nondescript bars or shapes to make it easier to hide and harder to trace, just an anonymous block of metal stripped of any identifying marks. The surge in smuggling activity did not go unnoticed by Pakistani authorities. The Federal Board of Revenue, or FBR, which is the country's main tax agency, observed a significant drop in legal silver imports, even as local demand and prices were climbing. This discrepancy was a clear red flag that a massive amount of silver was entering the country illegally, depriving the national treasury of millions of rupees in customs revenue. The government realized it was facing a growing crisis that was not only damaging the economy, but also fueling criminal networks. In response, they decided to launch a major crackdown, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation on the dusty roads of Pakistan. The government's crackdown on silver smuggling came to a head on a fateful day in early November 2025. Acting on a credible intelligence tip, officers from the Collectorate of Customs Enforcement in Multan set up a strategic checkpoint near Bawata, in the tribal region of Dera Ghazi Khan. This area, a crossroads between provinces and close to rugged, ungoverned territories, is a known route for smugglers moving goods from the borderlands into Pakistan's commercial heartland. The customs team was on high alert, meticulously checking vehicles that passed through. Their target was a passenger bus, believed to be carrying a valuable, illicit cargo hidden amongst the belongings of ordinary travelers. As the targeted bus was stopped and inspected, the officers began their search. Initially, everything seemed normal, but their intelligence was specific, and their search was thorough. Tucked away in the luggage compartment, they found several unclaimed bags. When they opened them, they discovered what they were looking for: dozens of dull, heavy bars of solid silver. There were no claimants for the bags. No passenger stepped forward to say the fortune was theirs. The silver had no legal import documents, no proof of purchase, and no tax records. It was a classic smuggling operation, attempting to move the precious metal anonymously, hoping it would blend in with the chaos of public transport. The total weight of the seized silver was a staggering 30 kilograms, which is approximately 66 pounds. In the superheated market of late 2025, the value of this haul was estimated at a massive 13.4 million Pakistani rupees, or about 47,000 US dollars. For the smugglers, it was a devastating loss. For the customs authorities, it was a major victory and a clear signal that their intensified efforts were paying off. The silver was immediately confiscated under the Customs Act of 1969, and a full-scale investigation was launched. The bus driver and conductor were taken into custody for questioning as authorities began the arduous task of unraveling the criminal network behind the shipment. The Dera Ghazi Khan bust was more than just a single seizure. It was a watershed moment. It brought the shadowy world of silver smuggling into the national spotlight. News of the bust spread rapidly, highlighting the scale of the problem for the Pakistani public. The investigation aimed to trace the silver back to its source, identify the route it had taken, and most importantly, find its intended recipients in the major urban centers. This single event pulled back the curtain on a modern-day treasure trail, one driven not by ancient pirates, but by contemporary criminals exploiting global market forces and old smuggling routes for immense profit. The successful bust in Dera Ghazi Khan was not an isolated incident, but a key part of a much broader and more coordinated government strategy. By 2025, Pakistan's Federal Board of Revenue, or FBR, had declared a zero-tolerance policy towards smuggling of all kinds, with a special focus on high-value items like silver, petroleum, and electronics. The FBR's Anti-Smuggling Organization, or ASO, was revitalized and empowered to take decisive action. The new approach was built on a foundation of credible intelligence, interagency cooperation, and relentless enforcement. The government recognized that smuggling was not just a matter of lost tax revenue, it was a threat to national security, fueling a black economy and undermining legitimate businesses. A key element of this new strategy was enhanced coordination between different law enforcement bodies. Customs officials began working more closely with the police, paramilitary rangers, and intelligence agencies. This sharing of information allowed them to build a more complete picture of the smuggling networks, identifying key players, popular routes, and common concealment methods. Daily performance monitoring was introduced to keep pressure on the field units, and intelligence-led operations, like the one in Dera Ghazi Khan, became the norm rather than the exception. Instead of relying on random checks, authorities began targeting specific vehicles and locations based on solid intel, making their efforts far more effective. The crackdown yielded immediate and impressive results. In the same week as the Dera Ghazi Khan seizure, coordinated raids in other parts of the country, including the port city of Karachi and the border city of Quetta, resulted in further large-scale interceptions of smuggled silver and other contraband. The total value of goods seized in that short period ran into tens of millions of rupees. These successes sent a powerful message to the smuggling syndicates. the risks of their illegal trade were increasing dramatically. The government was demonstrating a newfound resolve to choke off the illicit flow of goods across its borders. However, the war on smuggling is a continuous and challenging battle. The smugglers are adaptable and resourceful, constantly seeking new routes and new methods to evade capture. The vast and difficult terrain along Pakistan's borders provides them with numerous opportunities to slip through the net. The government's fight is not just against the criminals themselves, but also against the economic conditions that make smuggling so profitable. As long as there are significant price differences and high taxes, the lure of easy money will remain. The Dera Ghazi Khan bust was a significant victory, but it was just one battle in a long and ongoing war to protect Pakistan's economy and secure its borders. The tale of Pakistan's hidden and smuggled silver is not just a local story. It's a modern chapter in a timeless global narrative. Throughout human history, in every culture around the world, people have buried their wealth to protect it from chaos. The famous Viking silver hoards discovered across Europe, filled with coins and hacked silver from their raids, tell the same story of wealth hidden during violent times. Similarly, Roman coin caches unearthed in Britain were buried by citizens facing the collapse of Roman rule and the invasion of Anglo-Saxon tribes. These ancient treasures, like the legendary buried pots of Mughal silver, are monuments to human fear and the enduring instinct for survival. In more recent centuries, the story of hidden fortunes became synonymous with the age of exploration and piracy. Vast quantities of silver, mined by slave labor in the Americas, were shipped back to Europe on Spanish galleons. These treasure-laden ships were prime targets for pirates and privateers, leading to epic sea battles and legends of buried pirate chests on remote Caribbean islands. While the context was different, looted treasure versus family savings, the underlying principle was the same: hiding valuable, portable wealth in a time of lawlessness. The smuggler moving silver bars across the Pakistani border today is a distant descendant of the pirate burying his loot. In the 21st century, the narrative of the hidden fortune has evolved once again. It is no longer primarily about pirates or invading armies. Today, the story is one of modern criminal enterprises that move precious metals across international borders to evade taxes, launder money from other illicit activities, and exploit global market fluctuations. The 2025 Dera Ghazi Khan seizure is a perfect example of this modern phenomenon. It shows how ancient smuggling routes are now being used by sophisticated networks that operate like multinational businesses with supply chains, logistics, and distribution channels. The treasure is no longer buried in the ground, but hidden in the complex flow of global commerce. The story of Pakistan's silver, from the ancient Indus Valley to the 2025 bust, is important for the world today because it reveals the deep connections between history, culture, and modern economics. It shows how ancient traditions and fears can shape contemporary economic behavior. It highlights how global market forces can create unintended consequences in local communities, fueling black markets and challenging government authority. As the world moves towards an increasingly digital and cashless future, Pakistan's enduring relationship with physical silver is a powerful reminder of the deep human need for tangible security in an uncertain world. It's a story of wealth and intrigue, survival and crime, that is as old as civilization itself.